Well, continuing here, I wanted to help people that don't seem to understand what's going on with millennials to try to understand better. This is, just remember, this is the up and coming generation. These are the ones that at the end of the day will be able to either spit on your grave or bless your grave. Maybe put flowers on it or something. But understand, what I talk about, these people are not being created in a vacuum. This mentality of the millennials. And I know Joe Biggs, a reporter for Alex Jones on InfoWars, he did a piece on really lambasting the millennials for the living in their mother's basement thing that so many of them are just dropping out of society. And this is not new. This is nothing new under the sun. We had a big movement in the 60s with the Vietnam War and all that, the assassination of JFK, where people just started dropping out of the system. So this is really pretty natural, a natural thing that people don't want to imbibe. They don't want to take part in this ever-growing unjust system. So guys like, Joe Biggs, who I respect greatly, and I know he's a very decent, upright human being. He fought for our country, and it's tough. I mean, for all those guys that had to be over there in the Middle East or North Africa and be doing what they were told to do for America, it's pretty rough on these guys. That's why we got 22 of these guys taking their own lives. I mean, it's messed up stuff. But anyhow, I like Joe Biggs a lot. And I like all the reporters a lot. Sometimes I think that they're not really effective at winning people over to their side. And that is what their objective, I believe, needs to be. That's what my objective is to win people over. If I know they're wrong, I know that I'm right, which is easy for any of us. I mean, I get things wrong all the time too. It's very difficult to see the forest for the trees sometimes because of the way we've been trained, indoctrinated, brainwashed, conditioned, programmed. I could go on all day with adjectives to explain what the people running our lives have done to us. Okay, it's like a galaxy. We can see the Andromeda galaxy a lot clearer than we could see the Milky Way galaxy. And we're in the Milky Way galaxy, so you'd think we'd be able to see it, but we're too close. It's a forest for the trees kind of thing. And that's how it is for all of us. We've got to, question the way we're brought up. Why are we so condemning of these people or that, these people with this belief system or that? That's not effective. If you want to win them over, and if you're truly a servant of humanity and of God, then the object is to win people over to your belief system. Okay, so when you say that you can see, it's like Jesus said, pull the speck out of your brother's eye. You've got to see their deluded state, their self-deception as a speck in their eye. And what you have in yours is a plank. This gives us the humility that we need, the humbleness of heart and mind and spirit to reach people, because that's the object after all. Here, the object is to win treasures for God. And what are God's treasures? God's treasures are you. It's me. It's him. It's her. It is all of us, bar none. This is where equality comes in. This is where it's really good to be an American. At least we've got that going for us. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, this all keeps us safe and protect. I mean, what was it? Thomas Jefferson said that dissent is the highest form of patriotism. Right. I mean, if you disagree and you're passionate, you really believe what you believe, and I could put you on a polygraph and it'd be sure enough, you really believe that stuff. Okay, this is about anybody. I'm not just talking to millennials here. I'm talking to everybody. That, if you've got a beef with any group of people, okay, then you need to really ask yourself what happened, what went wrong. How did so many, just like I talked about, all the communists that are being invented. This is where it's coming from. It's diabolical. These rulers have done it with the policies they enact that we all have to live under, and they're exempt from. They're privileged class. Okay? And so this is what we've got to understand, is that the power of this to divide us and to get us at each other's throats, as opposed to reaching out and healing the wounds of division and being effective, are greatly compromised. Okay, we've got to not only be empowered, we've got to use that power and use it prudently, correctly, in order to bring people in from the darkness, from the cold, and say, look here, This is what happened here. Yes, you hate crony capitalism, for example. I hate crony capitalism too. I know what it's done. This is why I'm such an apologist to the younger generation. But, give me some mercy too. Give me some compassion, because I've had to witness this. I'm 59 years old now, and I've had to witness this since I was a little boy with the assassination of JFK, the coup d'etat, the takeover, the money printing class. It wasn't a Democrat-Republican takeover. This is a money printing class, an evil politician type takeover inside of the deep state, what they call takeover of America. Because the one thing they couldn't allow was an egalitarian president like Trump that says, I want sound economic policies that benefit everybody. I want to start seeing problems get fixed. And if people get unemployed because the problems are fixed, we'll have to find something else to do for these people. But we've got to understand, we're all going to have a lot of free time on our hands if we're all doing productive jobs. Figure that out. Figure it out. That if you just ended desperate poverty and you did have, say, a minimum guaranteed income where no more did anybody have to go homeless, nobody had to go hungry, nobody had to go without clean water or minimum, basic energy needs. Okay, do you understand how this works? Okay, and people that want to make me pay taxes as a smoker, a lot of poor people smoke. What do you think? It's reserved for those that can afford to pay this exorbitant tax? You just lay it on a pack of cigarettes? So what does that mean? It means, wow, now I've got less money to do what I would have spent it on any otherwise, okay? For example, if I was going to take my car in for a tune-up, then I've got to go and figure out how I'm going to get that tune-up done myself, right? Because I can't afford the tune-up anymore. So that hurts the economy. Do you understand? It takes food out of the mechanic's mouth. So you see how this thing works? You can't say just because, this tax cut benefited me, I'm all for it. And screw the other guy. No, you got to give a damn about everybody. Everybody wants a tax cut. And you start where people are being overtaxed to the point of death. And that's happening. Suicides are high. What do you think? This doesn't have to do with money? A lot of it is social, economic, and political. This is our culture. It's comprised and composed of these elements. It's all together. It has a big part to do with our happiness level. And we're not happy while others around you are sucking lemons and scared of complete and utter destruction. That's what it does. When you can no longer keep a roof over your head for so many people, this spells the end. You'd rather be dead. You lose your dignity. Your pride is assaulted. Well, you don't even want to be here anymore. This is how it is for a lot of guys and a lot of women. I see more and more women sleeping out in the cold. What's going on here? Is this okay that our problems keep getting worse and that we're not confronting it and saying, well, how do we fix it? Okay, understand the imperative nature. When I talk economics, I'm talking life and death. I'm talking life and limb. Okay, that's what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about not getting involved in dubious wars. Take away the incentive. Okay, and how do you do that? When nobody needs money. When there's no troops going in except they believe in the cause. That's the only reason they're going. They're not going in for any perks, any benefits, any GI Bill. Anything like that. No veterans benefits. No, they're going in because they believe in the cause. That's the only kind of wars we're going to have. Money, we've got to disempower the money masters and their political whores that are illegitimately legitimizing their policies that we all have to live under. The destruction of our currency through cost of living increase, through the debasement of our currency, which causes the debasement of our currency, which just means the lessening of worth, the decrease in the purchasing power of our money. This is how they've been destroying us. This is how they keep stealing the wealth of our nation. And like I said, this thing keeps going because Trump hasn't been able to stop the train yet. That's why your rent's still going up. That's why other things might still be going up. But when he stops that train, you're going to see your inflation come to a screeching halt too. Okay, that's what you need to see. You need to see your cost of living. And then we'll have naysayers saying, oh, now we got stagflation. Oh, we got to grow the economy. All this crap that they don't understand, the basic economic principles I'm talking about. You don't need that. If your currency is increasing in worth, if there's less work, okay, you don't even care because you're still getting richer, okay, automatically just from natural economic forces by not interfering with those natural economic forces of supply and demand, free market forces. Then you're working less and you're still getting more and more prosperous. You understand how that works? That's what has to happen. to reverse this wealth and income disparity, to increase equality in the land. This is the direction we've got to go. This, to me, is getting the train on another track. This is turning the ship around. This is the worm turning. This is the tide turning. Whatever analogy you want to use, that's what we need to look for. That's what's going to make improvements. That's going to give people incentive to want to go out and work. Because as it is right now, a lot of people just don't feel needed. If the work, if it's light out there, if people say, well, yeah, you know, I could go to work for this guy, but I'm not going to feel appreciated. I mean, look what they're paying. Okay, they don't want to do it. Okay, I'm not saying they might not have to do it. I've always had to work. I mean, if you look at my life, you'll see I've had anything but an easy life. So I prescribe to what Victor Hugo said, because that's the world we live in, and I'm a realist at the end of the day. But I am still a merciful realist. Just because I'm strong enough and competent enough to survive, that doesn't mean my fellow man is. I was a single dad for a long time, and during that period, I never felt the need to go on to welfare. I took my daughters to work with me. Can you believe that? Okay, I had to take little girls to work with me, being a single dad, because I couldn't afford daycare. No way. I'm a landscaper, so I was bringing them to customers' houses, and they would, you know, sometimes the customers would want to hang out with them, and, you know, other times they had to do something safely, you know, by themselves, and stuck in the vehicle to just do whatever they had to do. But, you know, it didn't go on forever. But during the summer months, you know, during the school year, of course, I brought them to school in the morning. But you know, and so I did have help. I did have relatives helping. Their grandpa and grandma, step grandma, were very helpful. So I did have help, definitely bringing them up. It, like they say, where this saying came from, it takes a village to raise a child. I mean, you know, people can mock that saying, but I mean, look at everybody that has ever raised kids. You're not doing it all yourself. Even if you're a single parent, you're getting help from the teachers. You're getting help from extended family. You might be getting help from friends, and like I did, like the people that I work for even help me sometimes. So, you know, in that sense, it does take a village to raise a child. Okay, so say what you will about that, but that's a matter of fact. That's the way it works. And if you look at ancient cultures, I mean, look at cultures all over the world where extended family lives. I mean, people don't just kick their parents aside to some rest home. They take them into their houses. Extended family. This is how all these immigrants are surviving. Look at us. The white guys, the Anglo-Saxon in our culture, we're all, get out there, you know, kick the baby out of the nest, and then, you know, and then you go out there and get into the social Darwinian system that's been destroyed. You know, wonder why I'm an apologist? I see what's happened. I would hate to be, you know, coming into this system. I'd hate it. I'd say, wow, I'm never going to be able to be a homeowner. The chances are very unlikely. I'm just going to be a rent slave for my whole life. And then when I'm too old and too weak to pay the rent, I'm going to have to depend on welfare, Section 8, the government, to pay my housing costs, right? I mean, put two and two together. What am I saying that's wrong? That's the direction we're going. Figure it out. If you're young and strong, say, I don't have any problem making the rent. I don't know what your problem is. Get with it. What are you, lazy? Okay, what are you, stupid? You see the problems I'm talking about here? This is reality. I'm a realist. But I haven't had any easy life. I've lived on sailboats. I've lived in vans. I've lived in the bushes. Okay? And I've lived all over the world. Not all over the world, but listen, in that sailboat, I sailed through the canals of France. I've sailed in the English Channel. I've sailed all over the Mediterranean. I've been to England and Ireland and Spain and France and Italy. I lived on Malta. Okay, I've been around. I've been from California all the way down in a sailboat, another sailboat. I've been down to Costa Rica. So that means right through down into Central America there. And I've seen a lot in that time. I've done a lot in my life. I've done more than most guys will ever do in their lives. Let's face it. Okay, and to this day, I mean, I've still got a great life. It's exciting. I have 2 daughters. I got to hear from both of them and talk to them on my birthday, which was Wednesday. And, you know, it's just, I'm a really blessed guy, and my kids respect me, okay? And I got a lot, man. I'm a rich guy, you know, depending on how, you know, prosperity. What is prosperity? What is success? I was a successful dad, okay? I'm a successful dad. That's very important to me. That's more important to me than being financially successful. That's a rabbit I can always pull out of the hat. If you're smart enough, anybody can figure out how you can make a lot of money, and you can do it morally and ethically too. It's just that I find the system such a blatant turnoff. I just want to go the other direction, and I'm glad. God knows. I mean, I don't like my life in this world. I hate the injustice. I hate to see poverty grow. If I saw poverty shrinking, maybe if Trump does something, then I'll say, okay, it's time to jump on the prosperity bandwagon, get one of my innovations, my tool designs out there on the market, and and reap the rewards, the economic rewards. But I can only enjoy that if I see this train come to a stop and change tracks. Other than that, man, I just don't care. I'll just keep on struggling. Like Victor Hugo said, adversity makes men. And believe me, economic adversity is definitely paramount to what he was talking about and what I'm talking about here. Economic adversity, and we're all facing it increasingly. As your taxes go up, your burden goes up, your cost of living goes up, as your currency is worth less, and job wages are stagnant, okay, then it's just going to be worse and worse. The wealth and income disparity is going to keep increasing. Poverty is going to keep increasing. Inequality is going to keep increasing. And it's going to get more and more difficult. This is social Darwinianism.